Hey, welcome everybody. It is 7 o'clock. It's time for Sci-Fi Distilled, and welcome to Indiana, where I am currently.
We're
Again,
live from
this is
Indiana.
not my
It's
normal.
Sci-Fi
I am
Distilled,
I
the
am
road
away on business
show.
for the next few weeks. So, in Indiana, of all places, and it is still Eastern Time Zone. So, but welcome back, Mary Beth. Of course. So yeah, these next few episodes are going to be kind of on the lighter side because I just don't have the time to work on them as
He's
we
in a
normally.
hotel room, guys. He can't be.
I'm in a hotel room on
He
a
can't be
hotel.
researching. He can't
Yeah,
be watching stuff on
I'm
his big
busy all
screen
day. I got
TV
actual work to do.
and
So
taking
anyway,
notes.
hey Doc, thanks for joining us, and Chris, always nice to see you
And
guys.
Jeff Rubel's here. Hi.
And Jeff Rubel's here. There you go. He popped in. So before we get into, we're gonna do well. We thought we do something kind of fun and just look at Star Trek technology, and is it good or is it just really a bad idea?
Little
So
column A,
we're
a
going to go
little
through some
column
different
B.
different things and kind of give the pros and cons of those items, and you see if what you think you would actually use. But before that, I think we have a little bit of
We got
news.
a little tiny bit of news. I got a couple little tidbits and a couple little news items I want to talk to you about. The tidbits are Jason Momoa teases his return as Duncan Idaho in the third installment of the Dune trilogy, which is called Dune Messiah. This comes as there are rumors that they are looking at Robert Pattinson, everybody's favorite sparkly vampire, to be cast as, okay, guys, is this pronounced Skytail or Scytail? The face dancer. Look, here's the thing, guys. If it wasn't in Kyle MacLachlan's Dune, then I don't know what it is. I don't know what the face dancer is. And I kind of don't care. Like, I don't know how I feel about this whole Dune thing, but
I'm not being a Dune guy. I just
whatever.
not a fan of Dune.
Yeah, moving on. I just think this one's really getting in the weeds. Like, it's just getting in the weeds. But all right, moving on. Pics are trickling out from the set of Neuromancer, the new short series based on William Gibson's classic novel. Interestingly, these pics are of actress Brianna Milton as Molly Millions, also known as Sally Shears or Rose Kolodny, who was first introduced in Gibson's 1981 short story, Johnny Mnemonic, which you may remember was also made into a film starring Keanu Reeves. And then he took that character and he put them into this trilogy, which is Neuromancer, Count Zero, and Mona Lisa Overdrive. So if you are at all a William Gibson fan, you may want to check this series out. No word yet on when it is going to be released. Han shot first. Riz, I want to hear your opinion on this. Han shot first, apparently only in England right now. The British Film Institute announced they will be screening the original cut of Star Wars exactly as it premiered in 1977. This will mark the first time in decades that the unaltered version of the film will be screened theatrically. You guys already know, I'm sure, that the edited cut is very hard to find, as Lucas has gone to great lengths to ensure that only the special editions are available nowadays. Will we ever get to see the original R version here again in the States? No one knows, but as Yoda says, always in motion is the future. Rizzo, is Lucas doing us a disservice by withholding this original cut? Like, is he wrong?
Well, you have to first of all you have to understand. He thinks that the reduced is the definitive cut, and he doesn't. It's always he's been in interviews, and he's always said that this he never finished. He never felt the film was finished, or a lot of his films. He always wants to go back and fix them. So it's that whether I think the disservice was that even like when Paramount or CBS went and did the revisions of the Star Trek episodes and updated which a lot of people hate. At least on the Blu-ray, you can go and click over and look at the old if you have your choice.
Yeah.
If you have the Blu-ray, so it's available. Usually, if you see it on TV or streaming, it's always the remastered versions.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I mean, he is, but he's not going to do it. However, it's not that hard to find in the United States. If you do a little research on the internet, you can find the copy because it has been pieced back together from the original film. And then remastered in 4K. So you can see the 77, the original 77 release.
And God bless whoever did that.
But it's bootleg.
It's bootleg. Okay, whatever. I will go to my grave thinking that it is the superior cut. I
agree. The original is always going to be better. There's no question in my mind.
Yeah. All right. Moving on. Final item tonight. Naked Gun. So you guys all remember Leslie Nielsen's hilariously funny Naked Gun series. Well, the Naked Gun starring Liam Neeson is coming August 1st. Liam will be playing Frank Drebin Jr., son of Leslie Nielsen's Frank Drebin. This is produced by Seth MacFarlane. The trailer is nuts. Slapstick comedy to the max. There are a couple moments where I actually laughed out loud. I will drop the trailer link in the chat for you guys. If you're worried about Liam doing comedy, don't be. This is going to work because he is playing it so damn dead straight. Like, he is dead serious in the most inane situations. This is also starring Pamela Anderson, CCH Pounder, and Paul Walter Hauser. Why it's not called Naked Gun, Son of a Gun, I don't know. But I'm going to put that trailer in the chat right now. Rizzo, you've seen this trailer. What do you think? Is this going to work or is this going to flop?
I mean, you're right. I mean, Nielsen played it very straight too. I mean, that was his shtick. And, you know, the funniest thing is that Naked Gun, remember, it was a TV show originally before it was films. That was what my initial, that and Airplane was how I basically always knew Leslie Nielsen. Until, you know, and then when you see him in movies like Forbidden Planet, where he's playing this, you kept waiting for a pie to hit him in the face or something, because he always did this. Like, from what I knew, from my knowledge of when I first saw him, was always slapstick, and didn't really realize he was a serious actor.
Yeah, exactly.
So then we got here's where we have the role reversal, where we have Liam Neeson, who's a very serious actor, and now he's doing the slapstick. If you see the trailer, it's a little cringeworthy. There was a moment cringeworthy.
Like, I laughed out loud.
there was a few things that were funny.
It's the exact same shtick that Leslie Nielsen did. The fake face was Leslie did that too, where it was something that there was no way on earth that he could be, and then he takes it off, and it's, you know what I mean. They did the exact same gag.
So I guess we'll see how it flies. You know, I've seen some where trailers look great and the movie was awful. So. You might have just seen all the 5 funny scenes in the whole movie in the trailer.
Yes, you know what? That has happened more times than I would care to admit, where the trailer is all the best.
My question is, did it need to be done? I mean, again, we're going back to the well to come up with rather than coming up with new stuff.
Forwarding the story. He's meant to be Frank Drebin
Right,
Jr.
He's his son. He's Frank Drebin's son.
At least they're like forwarding it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and they have the other characters. They did a little spoof with because remember. OJ was in it, and they kind of did a little spoof with that, you know, as they're going through all the people who are now the children of the original, characters. So watch the trailer, like it's a minute of your time. So
yeah, the trailer is not even a minute long.
Anyway,
Jeff is saying he can't think of anyone better to play that role. He thinks the trailer is hysterical. I laughed out loud too, Jeff. And Bruce is also reminding us exactly what you just said, Rizzo, that Leslie Nielsen was a serious
I mean,
actor.
that's where he cut his teeth on serious stuff. It's just that when as of my age range,
and you know what,
became aware of him, he was doing Naked Gun and Airplane.
You are absolutely right. I only knew him as a comedic actor, and so then when I went back and watched like Forbidden Planet or whatever, it took me a moment. Like, it took my brain.
You're like, wait a minute, when's the pie going to come flying out of the side and hit him in the face? Yeah,
exactly.
Because you weren't. So.
Yeah.
But anyway, we'll see. I mean, I don't know. I doubt it'll be something that I will rush to the theater and see. I don't even know when it was supposed to be released. I didn't catch the release.
August 1st, I believe. I can double check that. Yeah, August 1st. I will not rush to the theater to see it, but whenever I can find it on my TV, I will probably certainly give it a watch.
Well, see, that's a good point. Is this going to be like Son of the Pink Panther, which was terrible?
I don't know, Martin. That's a great question, and I don't know the answer. Everyone should just watch this trailer for themselves. Like I said, the trailer right now is less than a minute long. So
yeah, go watch it and then tell us what you think.
Go watch it. We'll vamp for a minute. Go ahead.
For a minute. You're not going to miss much
come
for a
back
minute.
And tell us your thoughts.
You won't miss us for a minute. That's for sure.
Yeah.
So what you got?
That's it. That's it for the news. Rizzo, what are we drinking tonight?
So what we're drinking?
Talk Tech Trek.
I came up. Well, I didn't come up with this. I used technology to come up with this.
How very dare you?
I went to ChatGPT and I put in create a drink called Transporter Malfunction based on Star Trek. This is what it came up with. Even the photograph, I might add. So it's vodka, blue curacao, absinthe, lime juice, simple syrup, a little bit of tonic water, and some edible glitter or shimmer liqueur for the swirl and dry ice chip. I think it's pretty clever. I don't know what it tastes like, but
I
there you
can't quite
go.
imagine the
There you
taste
go.
either.
Skynet's making drinks.
Skynet is making drinks.
So, and I put the instructions. There's instructions on how to make this. It's in the post on Facebook. If you're really curious, there's actually of how to mix it. So, which wouldn't have fit on the graphic.
Very, very good. We do need the instructions. Bruce is asking, would Liam do it if it wasn't a good script? I don't know. We all fall down. Has Liam Neeson done anything that's even remotely comedic before?
I think he's done things. I don't know if he's done full on comedy, but he's been in stuff where he's kind of played the same character that he did, like on, Abduction. What's the movie where he's, I'll find you. What the heck's that movie? I have a very specific set of skills. And what the heck are those movies? Not Abducted. What the hell?
Taken?
Something like that.
Something like that.
Anyway, so I think he's spoofed on those. He's a commercial for Tricks, apparently, Doc's saying.
Did he?
I don't know.
Commercial for Tricks?
He just said, it just says commercial for Tricks. I don't know in Revel. I assume he's talking about what we're talking about. So I don't know, Doc. You have to expand on that.
Rob Roy. Someone's talking about Hola Pablo from Mexico. It's talking about Rob Roy. I don't think Liam was humorous in Rob Roy. Was he? I don't think so.
Taken. That was the movie. Thank you, Bruce.
Isn't that what I just said? Taken. Okay.
Taken, abducted, whatever.
Whatever.
Same thing. I don't know. I don't know. I mean, I think he could pull comedy. I think Liam totally could pull comedy. Yeah, what did I see him in where he was doing that bit, but it was like in a comedy show. So
he was the straight man.
It was something relatively recent, but he was basically doing that. He was funny because it was so out of place of where he was doing it. Anyway.
All right.
So, all right, moving on.
Let's do it. Technology.
Moving on with our main story tonight to sound like John Oliver.
Comedic routine in TED on tricks for kids, and he was a Dr. Oliver, what are you talking about?
Yes. Now that's what I was talking about. He was going through the grocery line. He was going up to Ted, asking him, it says it's for kids, but can I buy this? It says tricks are for kids, and he's like, can I buy this? Like asking if it's okay.
Liam Neeson did this?
Liam Neeson, yeah. It was kind of funny bit.
Okay. Yeah. I saw Ted. I am not remembering that. All I'm remembering from Ted was the end bit.
It might have been Ted 2.
Blonde dude there. Oh, Ted 2.
It might have been the second one. I'm not sure. Anyway. All right. Moving on, as we said. So Star Trek technology. We always see it, we always think, ooh, how good. And some of it has come to life. But some of it has, you think about it, would you really want this? And would you use it? And if it was available, should it be used?
They make it look good. They always use it.
I think the most controversial one right out of the gate is the transporter. Now, we know that Star Trek, the producers of the originals, put that in there just as a plot device to get the plot moving. Yes. Right? It was a way to save money, get the story to go move faster, so they didn't have to do the whole shuttle landing every day, every episode. So, but when you break down what the thing is, and then its own limitations that seem to fluctuate between what show you're watching, whether is it really something you would use? I think I am siding with Dr. McCoy. I think spreading a man's molecules halfway across the galaxy and back is a hell of a way to travel. And let's face it, if you're doing actual matter transfer and you're killing the original, you're destroying the original to create the copy on the other end. Yeah. And there's no way around that.
Yeah. And they were a little fuzzy on how your memories and your thoughts and the core, the soul that makes you, they're a little fuzzy on how that transfers.
Certainly, if you look at it from a religious standpoint and you believe in an eternal soul, you're dead. You just disintegrated the original. That person is now off to the afterlife.
If you're disassembled, how do they preserve memory?
Well, I mean, I suppose you could say that memory is just another series of electrical impulses that a computer can somehow copy. You're right. I mean, it's even if you could get it to work, though, I'm not even saying, let's just say it works like it does on the show. it's still a copy on the other end.
Yeah.
They're
And
not
like all
actually
good copies,
transporting your
after a while, it's going to
molecules.
degrade.
It's
Dr.
well,
Alexander is
he's
saying,
got Doctor was. I know Doc's
don't
going to
even
have a
put
lot.
that
I
one
knew he
up.
was going to have a
He's
lot of
saying,
input on this.
yeah, current physics and biology doesn't suggest that we can control matter at the subatomic level to the extent required. No, we're nowhere near.
We're not even near it, but I'm just saying if we were, I wouldn't step in the bloody thing.
No, I wouldn't either.
That's what I'm saying.
Either. I mean, like objects, yeah, sure, beam those.
Well, I can see, yes, inanimate objects, absolutely, because
this stuff can go.
Which basically, I mean, we'll get to replicators later, but basically, you've created a people replicator. That's all
exactly.
it is. Right?
A people replicator.
And let's look at the actual show. How many times has that thing caused a problem? Even on the original series, we had at least a couple episodes. We had Kirk split in half.
We had the dog split in half.
Yeah, the dog got split in half. So
same episode.
Never seemed to work when you needed it to, right?
Yeah, it never worked. We got
sent them to an alternate universe. Don't forget that they went to the mirror universe. They went to the mirror universe on a transporter accident. So
yes,
they were beaming up from the planet during a storm, and it caused them to go through the rifts or some crap like that.
It's more trouble than it's worth. Is what I'm gonna say.
I'm just saying. And then you get the Voyager. You got a Tuvok, or two Vics rather. You get two Vics. You get two Vics. You got William Riker cloned because it bounced off of a
Thomas
something, and you got Thomas Riker and William Riker.
Yeah.
I mean, the motion picture, what we got back, didn't live long.
Exactly. And it exploded.
Yeah. Yeah, Enterprise. They had a guy that was lost somehow between he never materialized. The guy that was experimenting. The son.
Broccoli had a whole thing of
Broccoli. There was people stuck in the transporter. There were people in there that turned out. I mean, so when you think about it, the thing's been kind of a crapshoot. I wouldn't get in it. I mean, I suppose they could make the argument. Well, airplanes crash and kill people, but people still get in it and on them and fly. But let's just face it. At least when you get on an airplane and you safely get from one point to the other, you're still the same person.
Yeah, you haven't been disassembled. In transit. Yeah, honestly, Tech Trek. I'm going to say transporter. Thumbs down for me. I wouldn't use it.
No, I wouldn't use it. What do you guys think? Would you? Here's your poll. Would you use the transporter? Yes or no? Simple yes or no questions.
Now, see, Bruce is arguing that it did save Scott. You know what, Bruce? You're right. It did save Scotty's life.
But it didn't save Scotty's life because that Scotty had been killed millions of times ago. That was just a clone of a clone of a clone of a clone. Because every time Scotty went through the transporter, it killed the original.
No. It's just the one clone because they didn't recreate.
No. I'm talking about because he had been using it since day one. The first time he ever went in a transporter was the end of the original Scotty. Anybody who went in it, anybody who used it is dead.
Yes.
That's
anyone who uses it is dead.
Yes, but I know in Relics, you're right. He saved himself by putting it into a loop.
Yeah. Guys, until they get clearer on how they transmit memories and concepts like soul, until that's clear to me, it's thumbs down.
I agree. So Martin's the only one that's answered. Everybody else is talking about other
Martin says no, he wouldn't use it. Everyone else is
that's 3 no's. 3 no's for the transporter.
3 no's for the transporter. Sorry, guys, we're gonna have to use the shuttlecraft to go down the planet every single time.
Like I said, that scene in the motion picture was probably one of the most horrifying of Star Trek to me. The whole what we got they're forming and screaming, and then we got what did you get him? No, did you get him back? You know, it's like would you? Doc says a big fat no.
Doc says no, yeah.
No, so I'm like, that was to me, even watching that in 1980, was like,
Bruce,
I wouldn't get in that damn thing.
I think Bruce is being facetious, so I think that's a no for Bruce.
You never know with Bruce.
You can never tell.
Like Dune, what do you expect?
So. Is that a sarcastic? Sure, Bruce.
I don't know, Bruce.
Bill says yes. Bill, you trust it.
Bill says I've had enough of being on this planet. No.
Bill says it's okay. Chris is taking the subway. Bill says it's okay if you completely disassemble me and reassemble me. I'm sure I will still be the same person that I was.
Okay, he's got faith in the
Not
heart.
Bruce. I'm sorry, Bill. Bill is saying
Yeah.
it.
Chris says she'll take the subway, so I'll take
Yeah.
that as a no. So I think the
I
consensus
don't think
is
Kronos has a good subway
yeah,
system.
yeah.
Yes.
I think the consensus is that no, the majority of the people are not going to get in a transport. The Fly. I mean, did we not learn anything from The Fly?
That's right. We learned nothing from The Fly. Jeff Goldblum, he has taught us about how not to, and now we have dire wolves. We have dire wolves, and no one thought about Jeff Goldblum. Just because you can do it doesn't mean you should.
Right.
And then we have The Fly.
Yeah, then we have Fly, right? Just because you can do a thing doesn't mean we should do that thing. Anyway, all right. I think that's probably enough on the transporter. We all knew that was going to be the easy one, in my opinion. My next one is something that's a little bit more innocuous.
TARDIS, yes,
Chris. It is the holodecks. And they make the holodecks out to be these great things that people go in and they train and they learn about different things. Come on, we all know what they're doing in the holodeck most of the time. That's why the biofilters need to be cleaned out all the time. So that's one thing. But let's look at how many times the holodeck has turned on them. Right? Think about how many TNG episodes the holodeck has gone
Moriarty.
Bad. We got Moriarty. We've got the Vertiverge station. Remember when the life form took over the whole Enterprise and it had the train inside the holodeck, and that's how they were going to the life form took over the holodeck.
Yeah.
How many times have people been trapped in the holodeck?
I think maybe it just needs more safety features.
Badgie,
yes, Badgie and Goodgie and Badgie.
Well, that's the thing. Every time it's like, oh, the safety protocols got turned off.
No, let's not be turning the safety protocols off. Let's make them permanently on. You know what? Despite all of this, I'm still an enthusiastic thumbs up for the holodeck. I think it could be fun.
I think it could be fun, but too many times people get, fistful of datas.
But surely there's
another one that's gone. Another one that's gone when the holodeck went awry.
Oh, the Dixon Hill, when he was doing Dixon Hill.
Yeah. How many times do they got to go in that thing and the holodeck goes awry?
And then they're trapped in there, and it's up to the junior lieutenant to fly the ship because Captain's stuck in the holodeck.
Yeah. So I think overall the holodeck isn't necessarily a bad thing, but I think here's what I could see. I could see it being the new form of a drug addiction or addiction, period. We kind of saw it with Barclay, holodeck addiction. But think about it. I mean, if you could go into a space and be anywhere and be anyone in any universe.
I mean, LaForge abused it when he came up with Leia Brahms.
Right. Every time it's like so
in kind of a creepy way.
And it became, let's face it, from a Star Trek storytelling perspective, it became a crutch. They were like, oh, we need to do another. Let's do it. No, we can't. We don't do time travel. We'll just stick them in the holodeck and they're in 1940s.
Yeah.
Or they're in 18th century Earth. It was like.
Chris is reminding us that it did work in the baseball episode. You're absolutely right, Chris. It did work. Bruce is reminding us, he said one word, minuet. What is Dr. Alexander talking about? NVIDIA has a VR platform called Holodeck that allows designers to collaborate and create. Yeah, I love my VR. I slapped that thing, my Oculus or whatever the hell it's called.
But it's not realistic enough that you're going to lose yourself in it.
No. I'm still clearly in my living room as I knock my knees on my coffee table and trip on my dog.
Yeah, I was playing in my house. Actual golf, not mini golf, where you actually have to swing. And of course, I didn't have enough room, and I cracked my hand into a shelf, and that really hurt.
There you go. There you go. But the mini golf is fun as hell. You and I have both played it. It is so much fun.
It is the best game in VR, period.
Which you know what, Rizzo, you might be right. Maybe it is the new addiction. Because I could see that.
I could see that as better and better.
Everyone was like plugged in.
As better and better it gets. Like if you ever saw if you've seen the TV show Upload, which is basically they can upload your brain, your whole consciousness into a computer right before you die, so that you live forever as a computer program.
It's a singularity.
Which is the basic, but people can go visit you in full VR, and they had full VR suits.
Love
so
it.
that basically the suits give you the sensation of everything that's going around you in VR. So I mean, when it gets to the point of a holodeck level where basically they're having transporters create solid objects within this room, so it's not just the visual, but it's everything. It's
when it's to the point where if you take the safety protocol off, you could get shot and die. Like then it's.
Well, that's the thing.
Yeah.
The safety protocols always keep getting either shut down by accident or on purpose.
Mysteriously turned off. Well, we need it for the story to happen.
We need it for the story. That's why, which
we
brings
need
me
to turn
back
the
to
safety
my
protocols off, or there will be no episode.
But that
The
brings me back
episode
to
will
my
end
point.
15
It's a
minutes
cut.
later.
It's a crutch. They've overused
They
it.
went to the holodeck and everyone had a good time. Phil Merkel is here tonight. He's saying I'd never leave the holodeck. I don't know, man. If it was like the Singularity and I was getting uploaded, I'd be down for that. Could I like redesign myself? Like, could I have a whole new body?
You can be whatever you want.
I'm down for that.
Well, see, like in Upload, in the TV show Upload, that is usually you either could go in, how you were, or if depending on how much money, it was all based on how much money you had as a real person.
Yeah.
So you could be whoever you want, live wherever you want.
Another show that does that is this thing called Pantheon. It's animated. It's got 2 seasons, I think, maybe 3, but 2 or 3 seasons. Very, very interesting look at being uploaded and what would the natural result of that be. Very, very interesting show.
So Doc is saying, I'm going to put this up. Apparently there's a holodoc on the ISS.
Is a projection of a dock on Earth and can
but
interact with
is it Robert Picardo because it should be if it isn't.
Doctor
basically they have a holographic doctor on ISS, is what he's saying.
They project a doctor on the ISS. They project it with.
But it's no good unless it's Robert Picardo.
I must know more about this, Dr. Alexander.
Yeah, he was talking about. Did you not listen? He was talking about on the Trexperts when he did the interview with the Trexperts.
I watched that show. I must have watched it with my ears
missed
closed.
it.
It went
right over your head. What is Phil saying? I just can't believe Star Trek.
They're exploring strange worlds, seeing amazing things, and they're so bored. They need to go back to the Dixon Hill days and pretend on the holiday. That's a really great point.
Good point, Phil. It's a good point. How boring. I guess deep space is really boring. And you know what? It probably really is.
A lot of it's just the journey.
Yeah.
We see.
Think about it. Doc, what are you saying? It was going to take like 9 months or 11 months or something to get to Mars?
Well, this kind of leads.
What the hell are you going to do for 11 months sitting there just looking at black?
Yeah, just listening to the engines hum. Yeah.
There is no engines because they're on a free return or free trajectory. So
yeah, doctor says the projection is one of them, one of the flight surgeons.
Oh, that's you got to get a hold of. They've got to get a hold of Robert Picardo.
You'd have to
put him in the suit and do it just as a goof for the astronauts.
It would only be for oopsie Band-Aid. It wouldn't be for real emergency.
That's what we need to be putting money into.
Chris is reminding us about the Vic Fontaine episodes. Yeah, those were good episodes. And you know what? It did help Nog.
But again, it was, and then those were good episodes. But again, they had to use the holodeck as that platform for something so that they, I don't know. I think it's kind of it became a crutch. And I think they even realized it was becoming a crutch.
Yeah, they might have.
I mean,
Bruce
especially,
watch sci-fi distilled. No, Bruce, no one's going to watch sci-fi distilled in the holodeck.
No. I still think when they perfect VR even more, it's going to become the new addiction. Mark my words. Probably. There's going to be clinics or something for VR.
I have to imagine they had holodecks on Earth too. Like, did they take school children to on African safaris in the holodeck from Illinois to
Well, no, because they could beam them from
because they just beam them to Africa to see.
They can go. That was a field trip, was to go to the Serengeti for a day.
Good point.
So you wouldn't need to do that.
Well, anyway, my take on holodecks is 2 enthusiastic thumbs up. I would be.
Yeah, I mean, I would certainly use it. I just say it's one of those. Be cautious. Beware. Could be addictive. Well, it's going to be. I bet you there'll be a ton of warnings on the door.
Oh, there we go. I'm back. I hope you guys can see me. I don't know if you guys saw this, but on my screen we both went black for a second.
You've been kind of freezing, by the way.
No, I'm not freezing. My Wi-Fi's up.
Your voice continues, but your thing. I don't know if it's me or if it's you or whatever. But I did.
Very weird. Okay, moving on.
Anyway, so I say holodeck, but there's going to be a lot of those legal disclaimers on the door before you go in.
Yes, probably.
Holodecks have been known to cause this and this and this and this.
Look, Rizzo, they let people go throw axes at those family fun places. They let
Bruce do it. So apparently, that's
so if you can throw an axe, you can play in a holodeck. I mean,
you can throw an axe, you can dodge a wrench.
You can dodge it. You can dodge them all. The Chris Larissa says the shadow.
Yeah, I think most people would be happy to get into the holodeck as long as the safety protocols are in effect. There was even one where the woman came in. It was one of the early episodes of TNG, and she came in and she hurt herself. She was swimming or something, or she was diving, doing some like high diving at some, like
herself. Yeah,
and she hurt herself.
Wesley Crusher got hurt skiing. Like he was.
Yeah,
skiing
and then like and I think O'Brien dislocated a shoulder whitewater rafting, and so apparently these protocols aren't very safe.
Yeah, hey, you know what? But modern medicine, Star Trek medicine, no big deal.
So that's the next one. Bruce just brought it up because that was going to be my next topic, which is warp drive.
Here we go, warp drive.
Now, if you look at the Star Trek, how fast warp drive is, and Doc, help me out here, it's still not fast enough to get you across wherever they normally were going. If you actually look at the distances of the planets, it's still not fast enough. So
it's still not fast enough. And in the technobabble or the Treknobabble, they have this thing called inertial dampeners. And that is ostensibly what keeps you from being a smear on the wall at speed, right?
Right. Yep.
So all
from
of
the
these
acceleration and or deceleration.
Yeah, on acceleration or deceleration. Yeah. I mean,
the thing
I
is,
watch The Expanse. I know what happens.
Yeah, right. You get squished. So yeah, there would be no super or superluminal travel, faster than light travel, without coming up with some kind of dampening system. And otherwise, the acceleration and the deceleration would take an insanely long time to get down, I would think. So you need some kind of device that.
The other thing is your stellar cartography has to be impeccable. Otherwise, you really will, as Han Solo says, you will jump right into the heart. You'll jump into a star and your ship will be over.
Well, there's that, but I mean, also a little particle moving at that doesn't even have to be at the speed of light. A small particle. There's been showing people like huge chunks of aluminum or steel, Daco, that will hit something and blow a hole through it because even though it's a mic, because of the speed, it's all about mass and speed.
Tiny little.
So any little particle, if you're moving it, that's why they have to have those deflector shields. That the main deflector. That's all that thing's there for.
That's what's
anything that might have been. It's warp space. Yeah, I know, Doc, but I mean, it's still they're implying that they're accelerating extremely fast, even to get to warp.
The fact that they have warp 1, warp 2, warp 3, all the way up to warp 10,
which is all apparently exponentially faster than the one previous. So it's not like warp 2 is twice as fast.
They're a little fuzzy. Much
it's
like
by
the
the power
of
10, it keeps going up. Yeah, but if you look, and they never can get past 10 because then you just turn into a lizard. So
Bruce feels we're picking on him.
Well, you started it, Bruce. So you.
I felt we were including you, Bruce.
Yeah, really.
We're inclusive here.
I'm inclusive of you because you were the only person I know besides Kent that threw axes, and Alex.
I didn't even know that Bruce threw axes. I only knew that.
Yeah, it was. I think they did it for somebody's birthday.
Okay.
I saw the pictures. It was frightening. So anyway, back on top.
On warp. Warp for me. 2 thumbs down. And the same goes for light speed in Star Wars, and the same goes for the FDL in Battlestar Galactica, and the same goes for whatever the heck else other sci-fi movies I've watched that have some wacky speed thing. No, there is just so much like the what was the first thing we talked about? There is so much that can go wrong, and there's so many systems that you need to be in place, that you need to have in place for it to all work right. We're not there yet. We're nowhere near there.
So apparently, Bruce's wife is to us that we all know it's just imagination.
No, Andrea, this is completely real.
Well, of course it is, but I mean, we're just theorizing whether we would actually think it's a good idea.
If we were a character on the show, would we be? No, I guess we would because we'd be a character on the show.
I mean, warp speed, like Doc's saying, he's saying it's not actually moving the speed of light. You're just moving into a warp bubble, which apparently is like subspace.
Sometimes they invent crap on the show, and next thing you know, it's real. Like the iPad. very
Well,
cool.
obviously, yeah. I mean, the communicator we
We've
came
invented
and
all this
went
other stuff.
for
You
the
think it's
flip
ever
phone.
gonna
We
be
had a flip
real?
phone.
No.
Yeah. So okay. Anyway, so warp drive is one of those things. I guess
Dr. Alexander says yes.
yeah. I guess I'm kind of on the fence on the warp drive as long as they can make it so that you don't end up being splatted at the back end of the.
Or pierced.
You know,
I
you
have
do
both.
like be like some kind of Bugs Bunny thing where you see just the shape of Daffy Duck out the back of the ship as it.
Martin, what is Martin saying? Remember, the time barrier has been broken.
That
what
was
do you mean
from
by
the
that?
pilot from the cage. He's like, well, our new ships can go. The time barrier's been broken.
See, I thought if time barrier to me, that's the
another
TARDIS. I
thing.
would
That's
ride
another
in the
facet of,
TARDIS in a heartbeat.
because as you approach the speed of light, time dilation does happen. That's a thing.
That's true. That's true.
Remember Planet of the Apes?
Yeah, that's true.
That's what happened. The Icarus.
Remember Interstellar? All kinds of time dilation happening in that movie.
So, and it's a thing that's real. The time dilation. That's as you move faster through space, time stays the same for you, but moves.
Phil is asking, how do you? Yeah, how do you feel about the way they travel?
Faster.
Yeah. How do you feel about the way they travel in Dune as compared to Star Wars or Star Trek? Well,
a bunch of hippies smoking crack. It's just a bunch of hippies that smoke crack, and then like all of a sudden you're somewhere else.
No. They have those navigator
That's what the navigators. They need the spice though to get high.
Yeah, I suppose.
They can't do it without getting high.
Yeah,
right.
guys.
How do we feel about the way they dealt with several travel in Dune compared to Star Wars, Star Trek? Well, in Dune now, correct me if I'm wrong, is not being a Duneophyte or whatever you call you people, a Dunist. I don't know, is that right?
They bend space with their minds.
They bend space, right? So you're bringing the 2 points together, and you're just crossing over the little.
Now, Moya, I would ride in Moya.
Starburst, but Starburst, she never knew where she was going to end up. Starburst was completely random.
But I would trust Pilot and trust Moya.
But it was a defense mechanism. It wasn't meant to really as a point of travel.
No, you wouldn't be Starburst.
She would only Starburst when she was trying to get the whole way.
I don't know what her normal cruising speed was. No one ever told me that.
No, because it never made any sense. That show, again, like Star Wars, technology was not in Farscape. Technology was not the basis of the show.
No, it wasn't.
You know what I'm saying? It's like in Star Wars, it was more space fantasy.
Because John Crichton was trying to do the whole wormhole thing.
He was with wormholes and stuff. But I mean, for the most part, that show really didn't explain a lot of its technology. Like Star Trek.
Chris, yes. The Shadow, you and me, we're going on the TARDIS. Yep.
Well, I think the TARDIS, to me, you want to talk about the TARDIS briefly. I think the TARDIS was the most brilliant idea in sci-fi because it solved all the stupid problems of the ship always looks smaller on the outside than on the inside. So we'll just make that a thing.
Make it a thing.
It's because I always used to say the Jupiter 2 was the classic. The Jupiter 2 had to be a TARDIS because there's no way to do all that shit into that little ship.
Mean back in the day, Jupiter 2 or the modern TV show?
Back in the day.
Finite, like it was. You could.
No, wait a minute. All right, we're gonna get off topic, but I have to explain this. The Jupiter 2, when you saw it on the planet, you could see pretty much the whole ship, right?
Yeah, the whole.
And then when you get inside, you had the whole top deck was the command area where they had their little phrasing tubes and the helm and all that. Then they went down to another whole deck where there was living quarters. Then they would go down another deck where the engine room was.
Basement, yeah.
And in somewhere in all that space, they had a chariot and a shuttle pod.
Yep. And Dr. Smith stowed away and June Lockhart cooked great meals. Yeah, you're right. I don't know, man. There's
no way it all fit in that spaceship.
Yeah.
So
they did better in the modern one.
They did better. The modern one, they were a little better with the space. But
made a little more sense.
Anyway. I always say, I don't have a problem. I still love the original Jupiter too. Don't get me wrong, but it was a TARDIS. It had to be.
We all do.
All right. So warp drive. Yeah, I'd do it. Why not? If it was perfect.
The doc is hitting us with some actual science here. That Alcubierre warp drive. What is the Alcubierre warp? Calculations show it's a valid solution.
Equation. Okay, see, so we'll get that going.
So
What are we waiting for?
Doc, does that mean there are TARDISes? If it's space and time, there are TARDISes.
No, I think he's talking about warp drive. We're not talking about transdimensionally transcendental, which means it's bigger on the inside than it is on the outside.
How about the Heart of Gold? Would you fly in the Heart of Gold?
The improbability drive?
The improbability drive.
We're off Star Trek here, but
it's all good.
That's another one where, you know, if you watched you could end up as anything, I suppose, until probability was zero.
We are back
to normality. By the way, if you want to watch, the only good version of Hitchhikers is the original BBC version done back in the 80s.
I agree.
It follows the book exactly. So
Doc says just add starch. Well, I have to go research Alcubierre. The Alcubierre.
I think they're jumping around with bending space. I think. I don't know.
Well, maybe. Yeah, they're back. They jump around with bending space, but that's right.
Yeah. So anyway, we're going to move off of warp drive for a moment.
Let's move off because it just invites wild
ludicrous speed. Yeah, there you go.
Ludicrous speed.
Spaceballs 1 is now Space Maid or whatever
whatever it was called.
Yeah. She's turning to suck to blow.
Martin says as long as he has his towel, he's good.
He got his towel.
All right, what was your other topic there?
Your babel fish. So, all right. So the next one I was going to talk about was replicators, which is kind of which is kind of a spin-off of the transporter, really, when you think about it. But if we could replicate everything, is that really a good thing?
Yeah, if we could replicate everything, will everyone be driving a Ferrari?
Or would everybody be able to replicate a bomb? Or
why would we want to? Yeah, you're right. It actually it relies on our better angels, which lately, have you seen us lately?
No, and that's the whole thing. Star Trek is based on this Roddenberry, I put in quotes,
vision of the future, where humans are all self-actualized.
Where everybody's equal and everybody treats everybody well, and nobody needs money. There's no more, and I call bullshit, because first of all, in 300 years, man is not going to evolve past being an asshole.
No, we've already had a couple thousand years, and
we're not getting any better. We're getting worse. So there's that. But if you have, let's assume they have a system where you don't need money. You can go up to the replicator, get all the food you want, whatever. You can indulge in doing art or whatever. You can better yourself in whatever way. What I see, though, is, again, there's still going to be inequity in some way, because I've always joked, well, who gets the house in Malibu Beach? Or who gets the penthouse in Manhattan?
We won't all fit.
Everybody can't have that. That's a finite thing. So who gets it? Do you loan it? Do you go to a lottery? And let's see who, it's like, I just don't see this not having some kind of monetary system. I don't see how that would work. Not with the way human beings are, because we all covet what other people have. And I think it would also takes away some level of ambition. I don't know if everybody would just become artists and scientists and better themselves. I think a lot of people would just sit on their fat ass and do nothing.
That is a fascinating proposition. I don't know, Rizzo. I don't know if it would take away ambition or not, because we've gotten things handed to, as science and technology has improved over the years, things have gotten better and better, and yet we are still ambitious.
Yeah, but you look at, and I don't want to turn this into a political argument, but look at the United States right now, and you look at the things that people, because we have so much, and we haven't had to really fight generationally. We haven't had to fight for any of the things we have. So it's become very easy, and it's there. And what do? We complain about minutia. We don't take that as freedoms. We take them all for granted. And then, I just don't see, I guess I'm more cynical on humanity. I just think the more people
I probably am too, but I think there would, but there'll be some people who would still be ambitious and some who wouldn't. Phil is reminding us that there is a difference between replicated food. Yes, there's like real strawberries and replicated strawberries, and there is a difference even in Star Trek. And they talk about synthahol and stuff like that.
Well, synthahol was just invented so you could drink and get buzzed and then quickly not be drunk anymore.
Yeah, Chris LaRoche says, look at the people in the movie Wall-E.
Yeah, they're given everything, and yeah, we just expect certain amounts.
Bruce says scarcity cannot be completely eliminated.
Well, apparently they did, though, at least in Star Trek. At least on Earth.
Well, there was still rare things, like that collector that collected data. He was collecting rare items.
He wasn't human, though.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, Doug. So getting back to the replicators again, they are a lot the transporter. I'd be okay with replicating objects, but not organic matter.
Well, they've started to 3D print food.
No.
3D printed meat.
No, thank you. Will you be printing some 3D print meat in your house?
I think I think a lot of these things will lead to more weird diseases, and as we get away from,
or it won't be the nutritional. Like, how's it going to be nutritionally complete? How's that work?
I don't know. It's all going to be run by what's that company that runs everything? Santos.
I don't know how I feel about 3D printed meat.
Again, it's also, people look at what we have to do just to feed the amount of people on the planet now, to keep up. And again, we take for granted that we can always have chicken and eggs and stuff because they're mass producing these things and they're forcing these animals to produce this stuff at rates that it was never naturally meant to. So I think, I could see where a replicating system that takes something like, just general organic matter and turns it into, or anything. If you're breaking it down to its molecular structure, it didn't have to be organic, I guess, to begin with, to turn it into something else.
Mass equals energy, E equals MC squared, I guess. So, you'd have to, Jeff is saying you'd have to be the perfect 24th century person. And we know that ain't going to happen. Phil is reminding us that, you're right, Phil. There'll always be a difference between the original art and replicated art, the same way there is right now. We have the difference between AI art and original, like real people writing and drawing and whatever painting, and then when AI does it. Yeah, Chris.
Well, again, as technology progresses in that standpoint, that is going to be, I think, harder and harder as the AIs becomes more, I don't want to say intelligent, but sophisticated, and they learn more, that gap is going to become narrower and narrower.
Phil is saying people won't be. It'd end starvation. Ostensibly,
you can get protein from something that looks like meat, tastes like chicken.
Yeah, what does it? What does the 3D meat taste like?
I don't know. I don't want to know. I mean, I'm all for, like, they've got the
Hi, John.
The Impossible beef or whatever, where they make it out of like mushroom or something.
Oh yeah, I've had lots of different ones.
Some of them are good, some of them are not. They do taste pretty good, but honestly, they're not that much healthier for you.
No, because they put in a lot of carby filler.
And so unless you're like vegan or vegetarian, you just won't eat meat. It's really no advantage to eating I can't believe it's beef or whatever, or not beef or whatever the hell they call it.
Yeah.
Beyond
we tried one from a company called Planetarium.
I guess they were South Park fans, huh?
They were South Park fans. I'll get the spelling different. But it was made from, like, when you brew beer, there's like this yeast cast off. It was made from that. It was okay. It was fine. It was whatever. But if you put barbecue sauce on it, anything's fine.
Yeah, I mean, if that's what we got forced to eat, I mean, it's not the worst thing in the world. But I personally eat, plant substitute. So like I eat sausage instead of a cucumber because it's an artificial cucumber made out of pork.
It's an artificial cucumber made out of pork. That's how I want my salads from now on.
That's how I
want meat.
It's a vegetable substitute.
Impossible salad.
It's a vegetable substitute. So.
Oh.
Anyway.
Oh,
All
wait,
right, what
Jeffrey
else do we
praising his
got? So we
wife's
did.
guilty
So the
pleasure.
replicators, yeah. I mean, I think it could be good or bad, but I just see what companies do now with chemicals and stuff. Could you imagine replicated food? It just be frightening. I'm sorry. It just, yeah. I mean, like you said, if I needed a pen or something, and I
It's
could
just,
just go
it's kind of
and
gross
a
when you
pen.
think about it.
I
Like,
mean, like the doc was saying, we have 3D printers. I mean, we're already kind of 3D printing stuff in a way. So we are creating it from nothing or from basic materials and then creating a
I
thing.
think it's gross, especially on a spaceship, because like I have to imagine like they're using any matter that they can to like, you know, equals MC squared. So it gets turned into energy and then that gets turned into, so they're probably like all the toilets, like they probably all go to the replicators. You know what I mean? Like it just gets gross.
It's going to be like
all
it's
the
going to be
waste
like
material.
what's his name on Mars having to
Oh,
use
yeah.
his own. He had to use his own poop
Potatoes.
for the potatoes.
Yeah.
So you're eating poop potatoes,
Poop.
which we all know. I mean, like I've always said, like there's only a finite amount of water on the planet. So like all that water at one time went through something's bladder at some point.
Yeah, the water. Yeah. My Crystal Light was probably made with dinosaur pee.
Yeah,
I get
something
that.
at some point in its existence, since
that doesn't bother me for some reason. But I don't know,
that
man.
molecule went through a bladder.
The replicator makes it a little bit more immediate and less thousands of years in between. So you know,
replicated food Cracker Barrel. I don't go there for political reasons, so I haven't been to a Cracker Barrel.
McDonald's is our vegetable substitute. Yeah,
McDonald's. There you go. McDonald's is a food substitute.
it really is.
Slime.
They put sugar in everything.
They put beef juice in everything. That's why it usually tastes good. Even French fries are not vegan because they put
because they use
beef
well,
juice.
They may have changed that now, but yeah,
no, I don't think they did. That's why their fries are so damn good. I admit it. I like me some McDonald's every once in a while, but
yep. Doc, that's exactly what I'm talking about. I'm okay if there's several thousand years in between.
Today's tea is tomorrow's coffee. That's yeah. I mean, it's true, especially I'm sure on the ISS. But that's why maybe I'm not an astronaut.
Can't do it.
I really don't want to drink. I don't want to drink my own pee, let alone Yuri, whatever his name is, next to me.
You know, this is the one. This is the first one that I'm split on. I like the idea.
You're split on replicators.
On replicators, the idea is great, and it would help. It would help so many things, but it could also be bad for some things. I don't know, man. I don't know which way to go on this.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a split because I think I wouldn't do food, but I would do objects. Things.
Yeah, I'm okay with tangible objects. You need a new screw or a bolt? Sure, knock yourself out.
So we only got about 7 minutes left, and I want to get the last one in.
Oh God, I didn't realize we had one more. Okay, I thought we only had 4. All right, what are we doing?
No, well, I wanted to talk about androids like Data.
Oh, Data.
Because I think, again, here we are. Is this a good idea?
It's AI all over.
How many times has Data turned on the damn crew? How many episodes? Start thinking about it. He's turned on them a lot, whether it was intentional or he was messed with. Again, he was. Would you trust him? Would you trust him?
They kept promoting him.
They kept, but they kept trusting him.
They kept him right there on the.
If there was a person, though, let's think of it this way: if there was a real person and that happened, nobody would ever trust him again.
Yeah, if
for some reason, because he's a machine, they trusted him.
Yeah, because he was earnest and he was like, "But I want to be a real boy," and they fell for it every time.
Yeah.
Okay, Data, come on back.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I'm not a fan of androids at that with the full AI, fully autonomous.
If you remember iRobot, they turned. Well, they all got programmed.
They were programmed to turn on them, but it's still those Boston Dynamic droids. Those things are creepy.
They are. They really are.
And they have them actually out in the wild patrolling. Like they use them as like guard dogs and stuff.
Martin, Data's not quite Blade Runner, but he's getting there. He's getting there.
Well, in Blade Runner, they were actually organic.
Yeah, their flesh. They were
flesh and blood. They were just enhanced in all kinds of ways, and then just grown.
And given memories. Yeah, they were.
Well, that was Terrell's.
But Data's like the step before. Data's
Data is
Next
still
step beyond
machine.
Data would be Blade Runner.
No, he's mechanical. Everything on him is artificial. There's nothing organic about Data.
I thought his outside, I thought his flesh was kind of.
No, his skin is just rubber.
Huh.
It's just a rubber. It's a synthetic material.
Okay, so there's 2 steps before Blade Runner, but we're getting close. I mean, Data's getting.
Well, they
close.
kind of start. That's what they were trying to breach in Star Trek Picard, the series.
Oh yeah, and the seasons that we all hated. Yeah.
The first 2 seasons were just bad, in my opinion.
Chris is like, ask the Terminator. You're right, Chris. You're right.
The Terminator he only had to be flesh on the outside so he could get through the time thingy. Phil's got here's a real
Phil's
question about Data. We got a wall of text. Let's see. The real question about Data is the thing he wants the most is to be human, which I think lowers the whole story behind him and turns it into a Pinocchio instead of why the hell would Data want to be human? It would be awesome to be an android. He lives forever. He never gets tired. You could do all these awesome things, but on the flip side, if Data truly wanted human, then why was he male for the first half of Star Trek The Next Generation and not switch to female? He's only getting 50% of human
experience. Yeah,
that's kind of deep there, Phil.
That's a lot, Phil. You're right. You have a great
Pinocchio thing. They actually did that in Measure of a Man. Remember when Riker turned him off and said Pinocchio's strings are cut.
Yeah.
Have been and that's essentially true, is that he could be turned off and then returned on. People get turned off, they're done. That's it. Yeah. You've killed them.
Phil, that is a great point. It would be awesome to be an android. I don't know why Data didn't appreciate his, what made him cool. That's a great question.
Well, we also kind of saw that in a little bit in the first season, original series, when they were going to put the Sargon and what's the name into the android bodies.
Yeah.
Remember that?
Yes.
And she's like, I don't want an android body. But then again, we had iMud, where the android could put. Remember they had several episodes in TOS because we had iMud. We had What Little Girls Are Made Of.
Yep.
Again, more androids that look like humans that are more than human. And then the one, I forget the one with Sargon. What's that called?
Is it the one where he was spinning on the thing? Not
Little Girls Are Made Of.
That's Little Girls. Okay.
Yeah. I can't think of the one why can't I never think of the one with Sargon and
I can't think of it off the top of my head either.
You know the one I'm talking about with the glowing balls.
Yes. They brought that up in the Battlestar Galactica reboot finale. The one where they just came to Earth and seeded the planet. That one.
Well, yeah. That again, those were artificial, but they were essentially I think it's still a fusion of
they were Blade
biology.
The Cylons were basically Blade Runners.
Yeah, but I think they implied that there was still some
mechanical,
like when she was.
Like her spine would light up.
Six was having sex with what's his name, and her back started glowing.
Her spine would light up.
Yeah. So.
Dr. Alexander saying judgment and moral decisions are a human trait. If you just have AI or Android, no emotion or really true judgment. Yeah, you know what, Doc? That's probably what Data sought. That's what Data was truly seeking. It wasn't that he wanted to be flesh and blood. It was that he wanted to experience emotion, which he did play with that emotion chip, and have that judgment, the true human judgment of situations.
He loves scanning for life forms.
I just love scanning for life forms. Life form, pretty little life form.
All right. Well, it is 8:00, so we can wrap this up. So let's with a lot of the tech on Star Trek is very cool, but I think a lot of it became a crutch.
Yeah.
I think part of it became too much of a crutch in certain episodes, in certain things they were leaning on it a little too heavy, and it was inconsistent.
Very inconsistent.
Order and shield technology was like whatever it needed to be for that episode. Or not.
Needed it for the story to happen.
Yeah. So anyway, but overall, of course, we love the show. Don't get me wrong. This is not a
always and forever, guys. We will criticize it and love it with our whole hearts.
So I don't know. Phil is here. Phil, why don't you type out what you have coming up since you're on, Phil?
Roy, super quick. Roy is doing Baffled, a 1972 movie starring Leonard Nimoy. Phil, tomorrow on WUSB Stony Brook, it's Captain Phil Day. He'll be on and for the lunch with Bill McNulty for the lunchtime politics show, and then he's filling in the afternoon. And he has his usual drive time show from 4 to 5 in the afternoon. They do have a prog rock marathon coming up on the 18th. So if everyone who's into prog rock, tune in for that.
All righty then. And what did we say, Roy? You said
Roy is doing Baffled, a 1972 movie starring Leonard Nimoy.
Okay. I don't know what we're going to do next week. We're going to try to keep it light because I will still be in Indiana for the next 2 more weeks.
The road show continues, guys.
Road show will continue for the next 2 weeks. So
road show continues.
I don't know what we're going to do. We're going to try to keep it light like this. So if you have any ideas.
I love these open conversations. I think they're great, and we got a lot of fantastic engagement from our viewing audience.
Well,
so
we need another topic.
Thumbs up on tonight's show.
What's the other? What we need another topic.
We'll have to think of one.
Why are there chompers on starships? Well, that was Galaxy Quest. Why is this here?
Why is this here?
All right, we'll come up with something. Or in the meantime, you guys can always send us a message or post it on the Facebook page if you have an idea for a show. We always love to hear stuff. I need ideas. It's hard coming up with stuff every week, believe me. But on that note, I guess we'll say good night. As always, live long and prosper, and may the force be with you. Good night, everybody. See you next week.